Hey guys, Tush coming back at you. Just coming up to 5 o'clock on the 27th of December, back in the garage. And we're just about to put the car up on jack stands, and I just wanted to give you a brief review of this car that we're going to start to work on this afternoon, early evening. So this is a 59 Triumph TR3A. The one I had been working on, the white one, was a 60 TR3A. There are some slight differences in the body, not overwhelmingly obvious, but fairly similar cars. Most of the parts are interchangeable for these cars, so that's a good thing, and it's one of the reasons why I'm actually deciding to go ahead with this restoration versus working on the TR250 that I have that needs to undergo a restoration as well. The fact that I have a lot of parts left over from this car, the 60, as well as a parts car I have actually in the backyard, should make this restoration a little bit easier and a little bit more affordable at this particular time. So that's why I've decided to go ahead and do this car versus the 250. So I bought this car I guess a few months ago now from a gentleman by the name of Tom. Tom was located in around the Hamilton, Ontario area. Tom wanted to make sure that this car was not parted out. He wanted to make sure it wasn't hot rodded. He wanted to make sure that it wasn't crushed. So Tom and I struck a deal for me to buy this and to restore it back to a sort of a weekend driver, as Tom said. He doesn't expect sort of or didn't think it should be a full concourse restoration, but he wanted it to be made back into a sort of a fun weekend driver. So I promised him I could definitely do that with my abilities. So anyway, that's what we're going to do to this car. Is we're going to try to put it back to sort of its factory appearance. This car came from the factory with a black exterior. It came with a fawn top and fawn side screens. So I guess those are sort of beigey white color. And it actually came with a red interior. Now you can see that it still has the red interior. It's not in the greatest of shape. When Tom stored this car in 1974, he did have a cover on it, but apparently some raccoons got into it and destroyed pretty much most of the interior, including one of the seats. As you can see here, it got completely eaten away, and it was really just, a lot of feces and urine and hair. So that had to be sort of all cleaned out. All the carpets are missing. They weren't really salvageable. So the good thing is I have a full red interior that came out of the 60 that I was working on that I'm not using. So that red interior that I've got, which is not in the greatest condition, but it's definitely serviceable, will be used to restore this car. That's one of the reasons I decided to go ahead with this car. Since I had that interior ready to go, just sitting in the basement, I thought it would be a fairly easy restoration. So we'll see how that goes. I did manage to get the car running a few weeks ago, and I did post a video of that. It hadn't run in quite some time, so it was good to hear the engine running. And that was really the first, the first thing I wanted to do with the car, is just to see if the engine ran, see if I had good oil pressure. So at least we know we can at least start the restoration knowing that the engine will actually turn over and run. It may need more work on it at a later date, but at least we'll get the car to move under its own power at some particular time down the road. So the idea for this car is just to really do a sort of a quick restoration on it. I'm not going to spend a ton of cash on this. I did spend a fair amount of money on the 1960 that I've just completed, so this one's expected to be sort of more of a budget-friendly restoration. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I'm not sure how long it'll take me. It doesn't really matter how long it takes me, as long as I'm having fun during the process. So I think what we're going to do today is, like I mentioned in a previous video, we're going to start soaking down all the fasteners with a concoction, penetrating oil concoction that's made with 50% acetone and 50% transmission fluid, and we're just going to put that in a squeeze can and sort of coat all the bolts on the at least the front of the car. I have tried to get a few of the fasteners off, and they are really rusted on. They're solid. When I went to move the car, when I picked it up, I couldn't get the brake calipers off because they were seized actually to the front discs, and we ended up breaking up off a couple of the caliper bolts. So I managed to get one caliper off after breaking the bolts off. I couldn't get the passenger side caliper off. It's still on there with a couple of broken studs in there. So the car does not roll really well at the moment. So anyway, those will have to be attended to and drilled out at a later date. We'll get there when we get there. So I think that's what we're going to do. Put her up on stands. We'll move the hardtop over onto this car just temporarily, just have it sitting on top to get it out of the way. And we'll start stripping it down. We'll start bagging the parts. We'll start recording in a journal what we took off on what day. Just makes it easier to put it back together down the line. And we'll probably go from there. I don't expect to run into too many surprises. I do know that we're going to have some major issues when I get down to the sills. They were repaired really poorly in the early 70s by a body shop who didn't really know what they were doing and just wanted to do a quick repair. We will rectify this horrible paint color by going back to the factory black, which means my bodywork's going to have to be pretty good. But I had a lot of practice on the 60, so hopefully we'll do okay on the 59 when it comes to bodywork. I'm sure there will be some surprises along the way. I did know that there was some Bondo in certain areas of the car, and in some cases I've stripped that out already, so that wasn't really a surprise. But I know there'll be some other bad areas that I'll come across. But after dealing with some of the damage on the 1960, it being a vintage racer and being in the wall a few times, I don't expect to find that level of damage on this car. So, but again, I'm sure there will be some surprises along the way, so stay tuned. So I think that's pretty much about it. We'll get underway. Okay, talk to you in a little bit. Okay, I just wanted to give you a quick view of the interior. I've got the hardtop just off, sitting on top of the good car. Just the top tonneau cover and the side screens all just sitting on top of the hardtop. That needs to be refinished anyway, so I'm not too worried about them scratching the top of that. So back to the interior. So like I said, it's seen better days. No carpet to speak of. We do have a hole in the front passenger side footwell. I'm not sure about how solid the driver's side is yet, but you can see the sills are pretty rotted. Not sure if you can see that or not, but it looks like they've had some pretty bad corrosion over there on the inner sills, or at least the inside lip of the floor. We'll investigate that further. It does look like the floor has been patched once before, and if I recall, the previous owner had mentioned to me that it had been repaired with some sheet metal in the floorboards already, so we'll probably end up having to have a look at that. We might replace the floors, or we might just do some further patching. Again, we're going to try to do this with a budget in mind, so we're going to try to repair versus replace. That's generally a little cheaper to do, but we'll see when we get there. Like I said, the seats are not looking so good. That one looks a little uncomfortable. That one looks a little more comfortable, but still nothing I'd actually want to sit on. So like I mentioned, we do have some spares for that. The backboard actually looks not too bad. That probably might clean up okay, although I have another one of those as well. As far as the dash is concerned, all the gauges are there. They all look to have the correct domed glass. A lot of the times the gauges have been broken and replaced with later gauges that actually have a flat glass in them. The flat glass came in around the TR4. So it's good to see that they're those are all the domed glass gauges. It does have the speedometer intact as well. This is an overdrive car, so you see the overdrive switch over there on the left hand side, and I believe that is supposed to be the heater rheostat knob, which is missing. I do have one of those to replace that, so we should be good for that as well. Key is there for the car, which is always a good thing, not to have to look for a key. Steering wheel's probably seen better days. It's pretty sun-baked. That's a bakelite switch for the horn and trafficator, which is also pretty dull and has seen better days. I do actually have a couple of other steering wheels to choose from. There's one there, and I've actually got another one away somewhere that's actually in better shape than the one that's on the car. So we should have a replacement for that as well. The grab bar is still there, although that needs to be re-chromed. I do have another one of those as well. This actually has an ashtray in it, and I believe that would have been an option for this year car. I think the later year cars all came with ashtrays, but that's an actual option, I think, for this car. Could be wrong on that one. Under the dash has seen better days. You can see that the wiring harness has all been, it usually has a fabric cover, or at least a vinyl cover if the harness had been replaced at some point, so that covering has all been stripped off the off the harness by probably by mice or by raccoons, who knows. And that spirally thing there is actually the inside of the demister vents. So all the plastic is rotted off the demister vents, and that's just the interior metal webbing of the demister vent. Anyway, just wanted to give you a quick overview of the interior, what it looks like today. This will make a good video maybe several months or several years down the line when we get the other interior back in the car. Anyway, that's a reference point as to what we're starting with. Alright guys. So one of the first differences I see, I was just about to take the windscreen off this car, and one of the first differences I see from the 59 to the 60 is that these fasteners for the windscreen are actually Zeus fasteners. They just actually push and turn in versus the 60, which has screw-in fasteners. So this facilitated the quick removal of the windscreen. If you wanted to run with aero screens, you could actually fit aero screens in the car very easily. And usually I think they used to come with the holes. I don't see them on this car, but you could fit the aero screens very quickly. Anyway, we're going to remove the windscreen, hopefully, and we'll come back. Okay, quick update guys, just coming up to 7 o'clock and making some pretty good progress. We got the doors off, and that was actually a pretty good thing. Actually, my doors were a real challenge to get off on the 60, so I was thinking I was going to have the worst possible time to get the doors off this 59, but they came off not too bad. It's probably because the hinges are brass on this car and they're steel on the 60, so I think there was a little less of an issue there with some corrosion. Anyway, we got the back panel off, we got the interior trim panels off the sides, we've got the what else did we do? Oh, we've got a pile of stuff going on over here. So seats are out, back panels off, side panels are off, or dog leg panels, whatever you want to call them. And the arch covers are off. The grab handle's off. Obviously the doors are off here and just sitting on the side. So we've made a pretty good little bit of progress so far in the last hour. Yeah, I found some nice creepy crawly little bugs. Almost look like maggots over here. I'll show them to you. See them. See? Aren't those nice? Get a little pile of them here in the corner. Beautiful. It's amazing that those things can survive. This car was outside, probably minus 9 or 10 degrees Celsius weather, and they're still wriggling around. So anyway, we'll have to get rid of those sooner than later. So anyway, it's coming along. I'm just going to take a break, but I thought I'd give you a quick update on how we're doing. It doesn't smell so good, I can tell you that. Had to use a little bit of heat here to get the windscreen off on this side, but she came off not too bad. We got the mirrors off, the rear view mirror is off as well. So anyway, some progress. That's it for now guys, we'll come back in a bit. Hey guys, Tush coming back at you just with a quick update, just about to go in for the night. It's just coming up to 10 p.m. and we've had a good afternoon and evening working on the car. I can't remember where I left off, but we managed to get all the cappings off. I'm not sure if I captured that already. I managed to get the capping off the front, and you can actually see the original black paint under here, which is quite nice. I just sort of wiped that down a little bit, so it's good to see the original black paint still there. And I started working on removing the gauges, and it's quite obvious to me that this car has spent its life in Ontario, Canada, because everything is pretty rusty and seized on there. Even the dash is proving a little bit of an issue just to get the gauges out, which normally come out pretty easily with these little thumb screws on the back of the gauges. Well, they're all sort of rusted on there, and there certainly isn't very much access to get in there. So just sprayed a little bit of penetrating oil on that tack, and we'll come back and, or sorry, the speedometer, and we'll come back and try to get that out tomorrow morning. So yeah, so pretty good day out here anyway. I'm off until January the 5th, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to get the bulk of this stuff stripped down before I have to go back to work. So it'll be fun to see actually how far I get. Obviously all these stuck fasteners is going to slow me down quite a bit. I'm pretty sure that if everything came off as it should, that I could probably get this done by January 5th, at least down, stripped down to the body tub. Anyway, we'll come back tomorrow out here and I'll see you then. I'll upload this for tonight. We'll talk to you later.